We're back with another episode of Living in Granbury. Have you noticed any of the prices dropping here in the Granbury market? Seems like every day or every couple of weeks we're seeing homes drop prices and drop prices. Today we're going to look at why the Granbury housing market is cooling, and we're going to evaluate and analyze some pricing trends going into 2025, latter part, and even into 2026 next year. So if you're interested in following that, be sure to tune in to the rest of this episode. Also, tune in to the very end. There's been some drama in one of the specific neighborhoods in Granbury. We've been following it a little bit. We're going to go ahead and share a little bit of information with that. We're not going to try to dig in too much on it, but I recommend you stay into the end if you want to see what's going on and some drama in one of the neighborhoods around here in Granbury. All right. All right, if this is your first time to the channel, we really appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to click that subscribe button, press the bell for notifications, so you'll be the first to get any news or updates here in the Granbury market. As always, we get people that are reaching out to us. Maybe they have questions about a specific neighborhood. Maybe they're looking to build. Maybe they're looking for land. Sometimes they're a couple months out. Sometimes they're ready to go today. Regardless of your situation, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to hear from you, answer any questions you have, and help point you in the right direction. So today we're looking at what is going on in the Granbury real estate market. Not just really Granbury. It even goes up into Fort Worth, Dallas. We're seeing some similar trends. Weatherford. There is some similar trends going on all around the Metroplex, and that is a growing and surging inventory that is putting some pressure on housing here in all of these markets. A lot of folks that bought in 2022 are finding that now their house is worth less than what they owe on it, and they don't have enough equity in order to sell. That's a pretty common theme. You would be shocked at how many people I have reached out to me that bought in 2022 that now want to sell. And it's just very, very, very challenging because 2022 was kind of the peak of the market. People were paying $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over ask at one point in 2022, and now they're wanting to sell. And even though values have continued to go up, it didn't account for some of those over asking prices that were put on some of those homes. So the market is in the middle of, I wouldn't say a absolute correction, but a slight correction where prices are cooling, and as inventory is building, it's making the ones that do more aggressive pricing sell first. And then some of the ones that don't do aggressive pricing are tending to sit on the market and accumulate days, and some of them in the end never sell at all. So that's kind of the situation we're in. So I've got a few news articles that I want to share with you, and I want to take each one of those as a cue to kind of run down a small rabbit hole with you. So what we want to do, I'm going to share my screen with you, so then we're going to put it all together at the end. The battle over interest rates, Trump versus Fed Chair Jerome Powell. We've been kind of beating around this bush for quite some time. Trump has been consistently calling out for lower interest rates, and Powell has been consistently saying, not yet. It's not time for lower interest rates. And some people really misunderstand me and the market when we talk about this. Number one, I'm not saying we need to lower interest rates today by 2%. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not even sure we should lower interest rates at all. I'm really not sure because we go back to last year when they lowered rates. Mortgage rates were at like 6%. They did a rate cut and mortgage rates went up as a result of the rate cut. And we kind of talked about that pretty in depth. And the reason partially for that is that we shouldn't have been cutting. And so there are aspects of the market that can respond when things are done at a time where they shouldn't be. So those rate cuts that happened right before the election resulted in higher rates for the housing market, which is certainly counterintuitive. If they wouldn't have cut rates, I'm not sure that the rates wouldn't have went up anyway. So then there's parts of us where we don't know exactly how things were playing out or why they played out the way they did. So when I'm saying this, I am evaluating the market, trying to be objective. Trump wants lower rates. Powell doesn't. or at least not yet. Okay, so the situation we're in is the president is calling for lower rates. Powell is waiting for something to happen before lowering rates. Those are the two kind of competing figureheads on this subject, and they represent a lot of thought and other diverging ideas on the subject. Powell's tenure is up in May of 2026. Period. There are talks that there may even be a possibility of him resigning before then. I really don't think those are warranted, but who knows? So worst case scenario for Trump is that he stays until May 2026, at which time someone is put in place that is going to be much more favorable to lower rates. So there is very low chance that you're not going to see significantly lower prime rates in 2026 as a result of a new Fed chair being put in. The Fed came out and said that they still expect 2 rate cuts this year. And what I'm seeing here is that I think we're actually going to see the rates go down when the Fed cuts this time because of the way the market fundamentals look. It really seems like as soon as we get a suggestion that the rates are going to be cut, that you're going to see interest rates begin to cool. As a matter of fact, there was an interesting report here. I want to show you this. Mortgage rates snapped a 5-week streak of declines and ticked up on Thursday following a strong jobs report that dramatically reduced the odds of a Federal Reserve rate cut this month. Now, I want you to pay attention to that language. The language is, on the news of the job report, the odds of a rate cut went down, therefore interest rates went up. Nothing changed. Nothing happened. No one did anything. It's just news that suggests less likelihood of a rate cut happening causes mortgage rates to go up. That's the way the market is moving right now. It's on projections on what they think is going to happen. So if we get to a point where, say, October, November, and we'll begin to anticipate a new Fed chair that's coming in, and they're going to be much more favorable to low rates, you're going to see the market begin to adjust to the upcoming Fed chair, especially if they know who it is, what their plans are. The more information they get, the further back or the earlier you're going to see changes in the market, because a jobs report that makes it look like a cut's not happening next month causes rates to go up today. Well, if you tell me in 3 months we're going to have a Fed chair that's going to cut the prime rate by 2%, he's going to take us down to say 2% on the rate, we're going to see the market really begin to lower on the rate side ahead of that. So that is one thing to pay attention to. If there's 2 rate cuts that are going to happen this year, most of the experts are suggesting those are going to be September. And if we have a new Fed chair coming in 2026 that's going to be chosen because of their desire to see lower rates, then we should have significant rate relief on the horizon. I've thought for the past couple of years that we're getting close to rates beginning to go down. Every year we have seen rates dip down to 6, even sub-6 rates. We were locking 5.9s this year, back when the tariff Godzilla happened and all that went nuts. If you go back a year before they started cutting rates, we were locking rates in the high 5s. So we were actually getting some significant rate relief, and then always something would happen. Inflation would begin to rear its ugly head again, or some sort of market change would take place. So with this upcoming Fed chair, assuming we don't have World War III break out and we don't get embroiled in some other war that shifts things a bit, I see rates significantly being reduced over the next 6 to 12 months. If they start in September, it might affect the normal cycles of the real estate market. Usually, from April to August is really the key time, and really from April to the end of May is kind of the biggest surge. People are selling their homes and moving. Due to the high rates, I'm going to show you this real quick. This is a May 2025 Hood County report. Median prices are down 7.7%. Closed sales are down 12%, only 128 in May of 2025. Days on market 99, and look at this inventory, 8.3 months. What we want that to be is about 5 to 6. When it starts getting 7, over 7, we start to have some pain. When it gets under 5, starts getting 4, we start having some pain because it's not enough inventory and prices starts going up. So we really want to see 4 to 6 months. 5 to 6 really would be the sweet spot. So 8.3 is getting pretty tough. Yeah, that's a good bit of inventory. So if we look at that month, what we might see if rates start to come down in September is we might see the hot period of the market be more spread out through the winter because of the lower rates that generate some more activity. May not be the case. I know we've seen that in at certain points in history where the normal cycle of real estate is put under a bit of distress because some sort of market condition makes it more feasible for people to buy at a time that's less standard. You know, it's not in the normal cycle of real estate. So there's a possibility we might see a warmer fall winter market and a cooler summer market this year because of the way the market is. Now, with that said, what that should also do is there's still going to be a high percentage of people that are not going to want to move or sell during the winter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of that. So what it will do potentially is gear up, you know, maybe that spring 2026 market as a great opportunity. So you might have a surge of activity in the real estate market, buying, selling, and just a lot more movement than what we've seen over the last couple of years. What I want to do is show you another slide, and this one is from June 2025. This one just came out like about a week ago. So our MLS kind of gives us these reportings. So if you look at this, you compare it to what we just saw in May, and you think, this tells a completely different story. This says that pricing is up 5.7% as a median, and closed sales are up 20%, and inventory has dropped to 7.7 from 8.3. So one of the things that you need to note is that if we had a very dismal May, this June surge is just a way of saying it kind of corrected a little bit. That the May being as bad as it was because a lot of them got pushed a little later than normal. And so the June ended up kind of correcting some of that softness in May. Another thing to note is that if you look at the median price range, this is comparing June to June. So May to May, last year in 2024, May was a hot month and we had a great month, and therefore they're comparing May to May, and this May was a little soft. But this June is better because last time a lot of the homes that sold in May closed in May, and this time some of the ones that were going under contract in May didn't close until June. And so you just see kind of a correction there. So what I want to do is say, you saw that last slide that had May looking like we had prices dropping, you know, through the floor. And this one is actually going to show you, well, it's not quite as bad as that. And so I wanted to have this slide included so that you could get a perspective. We're not seeing prices, you know, in a free fall. We are seeing mortgage delinquencies up. We are seeing people having struggles, you know, keeping up with homeowners insurance, property taxes, and the rising cost of interest rates. But it's not something that is going to be at an alarming 2008 levels. We're seeing commercial real estate really struggling right now. If you go do some searches on that, it's in a severe recession. The commercial sector of real estate, office spaces, high rises, and things of that nature, they're really having a hard time filling their spaces and getting the adequate numbers to make that make sense. So one more thing before we jump into some of the drama on the last neighborhood. I wanted to give you a snapshot of one of the hotter neighborhoods that we've had a lot of calls coming in on. This is a neighborhood that I keep going back to again and again and again and again with folks that are reaching out to me. And I want to show you what's happening there so that you can get kind of a picture of some of the opportunities that are coming up. So the neighborhood is Bentwater. I get a good amount of calls on this neighborhood every week, people that are keeping their eye on the neighborhood. So currently there are 7 homes that are available. The highest one is $4 million, which is a beautiful home on main body lake, walkout water access. It is just gorgeous, this home. But we have prices that go all the way down. Look at this, $499. A lot of times I tell folks, getting into Bentwater at sub 500 is very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do. So this is one that started off at 520. It's been on the market for 130 days and is still available, which is crazy. Now there are reasons. I've actually showed this property twice, and I think if you go look at some of the photos, you'll see this down here. This is the garage. It's separated. So if you show up to the house with a bunch of groceries, you will have to park probably right here and then carry them in this way if it's raining or whatever. That's not ideal. So that is one thing that some folks may not prefer. If you park down here in the garage and it's raining, you're going to have to actually walk up the hill to the back door to get into the home. Also not ideal. Now there's ways you could fix that, and like I tell people all the time, there's always trade-offs. You're getting in Bentwater at $499. Also, just for those who haven't looked at Bentwater yet, it does come with deeded boat slips. So this home will have a deeded boat slip. So if you have a boat, put it in the boat slip. Great value there. One of the things that people really are interested in with Bentwater. So looking at some of these homes, there have been a few. Look at this one on Benttree, which is the next door neighbor of that home we just looked at. So again, this is that detached garage over here, and this is the one we just looked at. This is the one we're looking at now. And this home's on the market. Let's look how many days. 157 days on the market. It started at $675. It's at $625. So there's been a $50,000 price reduction on this home over the course of a few months, and it still hasn't sold. We can see other properties that are also on the market that started at a $630 down to $599, $40,000 price or $30,000 price reduction. How many days on the market? 108. So we can look at Bentwater and you can see a snapshot of a neighborhood that is typically very hot, and their properties usually go much faster. Now properties are sitting, they're taking longer to sell. So what we're going to see is the properties that become the most aggressive on their pricing are going to be the properties that have success selling. So we're going to find out which ones those are, because the market is softer. It is a buyer's market, and buyers are using this as an opportunity to negotiate better prices. And so there's a great opportunity here for someone to find a pretty good deal. Here's a property that started off at $930, it's down to $895. Great curb appeal, backs up to one of the ponds, has a pool. Nice home. I think this is one of the homes that really catches my eye when I look through it, because it's something that has been on the market for almost 300 days. So Bentwater snapshot, you can see prices, you can see days accumulating on market, you can see it's taking longer time for these properties to sell, and that is going to be true of all the neighborhoods. We could go look at Pecan, we could look at DeCordova, we could go look at Canyon Creek, Comanche Cove. We could go look at all of these neighborhoods, and they're all going to be showing similar signs. More days on market, taking longer to sell, inventory that's building. It's true in all of them. Bentwater is just one that you typically don't see this. And so, it's a helpful measure for how the market is. Now, lastly, there has been some drama going on over the past couple of months. So this is a post from June 8th. I've looked at several others that are posting. All of these posts are coming in as anonymous, and some of the complaints they have are things that I feel it would be necessary for me to kind of share. Hey, there might be something going on in this neighborhood. I don't live in DeCordova. I live out in Pecan Plantation, so I'm not privy to everything that's going on out there, but I just wanted to share it with some of my listeners, just in case someone may be looking at this neighborhood and thinking they want to move there. Here's some things you might want to know. There's a $10,000 fee initiation to move in. There's a $5,000 in Pecan, $10,000 in DeCordova, basically. But it says that the HOA just increased the monthly dues by $70. That's a 30% increase, and they didn't do it with a vote of the members, which seems a little wild. There's been some accusations of mismanagement of funds. I don't know if that's true or not. Again, I'm not there, don't know. And there's been some complaints about how things are playing out. Now, you might ask, why is this person posting as anonymous? Well, if they go in and post this stuff and they know who they are and they know their address, and someone else is trying to sell their home and you're making it more difficult because you're publicizing all these problems, you might get harassed in the neighborhood, not only by the HOA, but other people that might not be happy that you're airing the dirty laundry, so to speak. So I understand why they would post anonymously, and there's definitely some complaints about how things are being managed in the neighborhood. So hopefully they get it all figured out. DeCordova is a beautiful neighborhood, beautiful lakefront homes, wonderful golf course, nice mature trees throughout, great scenery. But it seems like there is a bit of drama going on, and I just thought you as the listeners should know about it. Okay, with that, I think we are going to wrap things up. What do I think is going to happen? We're going to see. It's really hard to say. I do expect rates to be down next year. I expect a couple of cuts to start around September this year, and I expect that to really prime up the spring, summer of next year with Powell coming out. And with that, I think there's also a opportunity for buying right now with prices being lower. I think once everything starts to warm up again, you're going to see prices restabilize, and it'll be the market will begin to, I think, creep back up some in terms of value. I don't think we're going to see them skyrocket or anything like 2020, COVID, 2021. I don't think we'll see that again, but I do believe you'll see the market kind of restabilize. So there is an opportunity for buying now in a buyer's market that, as things kind of equalize, will probably not be quite so good in the coming months, just from a value standpoint. Interest rates will be lower, monthly payments will be lower next year, but prices will be a little higher. And so I think that's what you're going to see take place. So that's my forecast. That's what I'm calling for as we finish out this summer swing. We'll see how the market looks toward the end of the year. If you have any questions, if you're looking at the market, if you're trying to time things, maybe you're thinking about retiring here in the next 1-2 years and you're looking to buy something before you retire so you can use your current income to qualify and all of that, reach out to me. We'd love the chance to visit with you, answer any questions you have, talk to you, and see if we can help make that move a little smoother, getting ready to move to the Granbury area. So really appreciate you tuning in. Until next time, hope to see you around Granbury.